Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with our Mega Box du jour. Well, it's not as mega as some of the other Mega Boxes, but for what it is, it's a Mega Box. It's the Tartini Complete Violin Concerti on Dynamic, featuring L'Arte Dell'Arco on period instruments, a tiny little string ensemble with continuo, but a good one, at least in this outing. And we have the soloists, Federico and Giovanni Guglielmo, and who's the other one? Carlo Lazzari. That's who they are. And they're very good. I mean, they really are. Tartini. Tartini's famous. He's famous for the Devil's Trill Sonata. One work. One little baroque violin sonata. It's charming, it's lovely, it's fun. But he wrote 125 or so violin concertos. And here they are on 29 CDs. And it's taken me quite a while to get through them, but I did. And I have to say, they're really good pieces, a lot of them. I mean, some of them are, perfunctory, but most of them are really quite enjoyable. He had a very strong personality. He was born in 1692. He died in 1770, so he had a long life, a productive life. He wrote almost exclusively for the violin, concertos and hundreds of sonatas, and he wrote musical treatises. In fact, his treatise on violin playing, with its little section on vibrato, was stolen, plagiarized by Leopold Mozart in his famous violin school. And so that's where we get a lot of the stuff. And of course, he's been then quoted as the last word on when to use vibrato, wrongly and incorrectly, and to the great dismay of real musicians by the period instrument people, because what he said is, first of all, hard to interpret, second of all, not complete. So, yeah, there we go. Anyway, here we are, Tartini. Yeah, this is a very fine set. Now, most of his violin concerti are in the Vivaldi style. That is, they have three movements, and, fast, slow, fast, but some of them are longer. Some of them have multi-movements. It's really rather fascinating because he was best known, I think, as a composer of a more lyrical, broad-breathed kind of melody than, for example, Vivaldi, who he didn't like. He was very nasty about Vivaldi, very catty. But most composers hate other composers, and that's kind of normal. And that's especially true of, Italian Baroque composers who are all like egomaniacs and virtuosi on their instruments, and they all hated each other. And oh my goodness, it was such a good time. Wonderful. He played a Stradivarius, of course, So anyway, here we have 125 violin concertos. Now, these were issued in separate volumes, thank God, so that you can get separate volumes. At least I think you still can. I mean, you don't have to listen to all of them. It took me like a year to listen to all of them because I wasn't going to rush it. There are some things where there's just no point in making yourself crazy. But the nifty thing about these is that a lot of these movements or concerti have programmatic titles, and they're lovely. Oh, they're just lovely. Let me just give you some examples here that are just charming, and you listen to them with such joy. Oh, per pietà, bel idol mio. Have pity, my beautiful idol. My beautiful adored one, that sort of thing. Stagion bella, the beautiful season. Let's see, what else have we got here? I mean, there's just you just sort of flip through them and you get wildly interesting titles on some of these pieces that give you a sense of them. But more to the point, si per me sentite amore, if you feel love for me, don't you just want to hear that? They're just delicious. They're like songs. Si che pietà non hai, if you don't have any pity, any mercy on me, you poor miserable creature. They're great. And most interestingly, they tend to be larger works than Vivaldi's. I mean, they're written later. He was a later composer. But beyond that, But these slow movements have expanded into long-breathed lyrical melodies, which are often quite sumptuous and very, very beautiful. And I will say, despite the small forces here, there's a lot of color in these performances. I mean, in the continuo, they use an organ and a harpsichord and a gigantic lute, theorbo, string guitarish thingy. And so you get a lot of variety. It's not just plonk, plonk, clang, clang with an irritating harpsichord on the bottom all the time. So because the forces are small, there's a great deal of intimacy and a great deal of lyrical beauty. And I really, really enjoyed the performances for that reason. And I think you will too, at least if you get some of them. I'm not suggesting you need to get all 29 CDs, but I'm very happy that I did. I mean, it's a real reference edition. Most of these pieces were never published. If you get the individual volumes, you'll get better notes. There's a booklet here. It tells you, of course, what's on all the discs, and then a general introduction to Tartini and his music. But that's it. When you get the individual volumes, of which I had a few before I got this, you get more extensive notes. But however you slice it, this was a major production, a really major production, and it's marvelous to have. And I think that if you like Italian Baroque music and if you enjoy Vivaldi, you're going to want to hear at least some of this. And there's a lot more to this guy than just the Devil's Trill Sonata. You know, there really is. He was a force, a powerful intellectual and musical force in his day. And his music, I think, reflects that force of personality. There's a lot of really attractive music in here. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Give Tartini a shot and take care.